when I do these panels, I always do like my little spiel of like what I do because not many people know what I do. And I have a company and I guess a content platform called ZEITGUIDE. ZEITGUIDE basically is the guide to the zeitgeist. And for those of you who know me, know that this was my big claim to fame in Hollywood when I worked with Brian Grazer for 5 years, and I was what he called his cultural attaché, and my job was to connect into world's ideas and interesting people beyond the entertainment business. And before that, which many of you don't know, is that I had a tutoring business. This was after I started in Hollywood, 2001, I left the business, there were strikes, September 11th happened, and to make some money, I decided to tutor high school kids in chemistry. Actually, I'm going to give a shout out to Deb Newmeyer, who I tutored her daughter Sophie. And it was what to a what? B minus to an A. Right. So all of a sudden, I was no longer, well, thank you. So all of a sudden, I was no longer Brad from Michael Costigan's office because we were working on that movie Drag Queen too. Remember that? And which was in 1999, so very ahead of its time, right? So I started tutoring high school kids in chemistry, and all of a sudden, word of mouth spread, and I created this business called Institutor. And like my whole thing was like, we're gonna teach, learn chemistry in an instant, and it was awesome. 3 years, and then one day I get a call from Brian Grazer's office, and they say, Brian, this is blah blah blah. Who was it? It was Miguel at the time. This is Miguel from Brian Grazer's office, and Brian wants to meet you. And I'm like, really? He's like, yeah. And I'm like, well, why don't I just go to his house because I'm going to be tutoring his daughter? And they said, no, you got to come here right now. And I was like done with Hollywood. I was wearing like my T-shirt and sandals, and I walked in, and he's like, hello. I don't know, how many people know Brian, because this is your town? Does everybody know about? If you don't know, wow, interesting, a non-Hollywood crowd. I love it. LA, according to the New York Times, is the new cultural hotbed of the world. Anyway, Brian Grazer is an Academy Award winning producer. He's whatever. He has a book out. You can read about him. But he was very awesome. He opens up the door, and he's like, oh my God, it's the tutor to the stars. And I'm like, wow. And so I sat down in his office, and he looks at me in a very perplexed way. I don't know if you know, he has crazy spiky hair. And he's like, you're not here to tutor my daughter. I don't want you to do that. I want you to tutor me. And I'm like, in what? He's like, everything. I'm curious about everything. Go out in the world. There's your office. Teach me about the world. I love meeting interesting people. So my job was to bring in one person every week, read everything about them, distill it for him as if I was like pitching him a movie. And Shepard, you were one. Rose, you were one of them too, right?
Yeah, late night phone calls, freaking out to know what's going on in downtown all night.
Right, I had to know everything. And so I combine these two experiences to create my company, ZEITGUIDE. Started in 2008, and this is our mission. Our mission is to guide leaders through our constantly changing culture, empower them to stay relevant, connected, and prolific. That's my corporate pitch because all my clients now are corporate. So I combine those two experiences where I tutored kids, then I tutored a Hollywood mogul, and now I'm educating companies how to deal with cultural change and what they need to know so that they could be best equipped for the future. But basically, I say, what do you guys do? My job is to make you better than you are today. So that means help you be smarter, help you understand the cultural forces changing culture and business, or business and everything else, and also help you become the company that will put you out of business. And so, people are always like, so how do you do that? You're just one guy. And so, yeah, I have this like gift to be able to teach and explain things and distill things. And, I definitely have an interesting empathy and emotional intelligence. But now I built a company where now I have 6 full-time employees. And this is our ZEITGUIDE factory. And basically all day long while you guys are doing your real jobs, we're basically distilling every single piece of content. We go through 2,000 pieces of content. Articles from Harvard Business Review, white papers, articles, print media. We still get every magazine, right? And then we distill it and we tell you the story about it so that you can know it in a really comprehensive, amazing way. This is the ZEITGUIDE. Looks like Cliff Notes. This is the print version. And if you're not a client of mine or you're not a company that I'm working with, you could become a member of ZEITGUIDE. It's not free. I don't believe in free content. So, but tonight, thanks to William Morris Endeavor, you guys are all getting a free comp to the digital version. And with the digital subscription, you get this digital version, which is 96 pages of everything you need to know that's happening in all these industries, right? And distilled. And there's 450 links embedded, but you don't have to read any of the links because we tell you exactly what you need to know to understand what's happening in that world. So in addition to that, the members get a weekly newsletter. And so whereas like the once a year is like very macro, this is like very specific. These are the last ones that we've done. And now, yesterday, we just introduced a new product, which is part of the membership called Ripouts. So this is all the articles that I ripped out with my team for the whole week, and there's 25 of them. This one's about the Internet of Things. This is about the new over-the-top television programs that you can get a la carte. I mean, we could talk about that at another time. And then we're just, once a day, 5 times a day, we're taking 5 of those articles and we're putting them out on social media. And you get to see what is the most important part of the articles so that you can learn, distill, and understand. So take a card when you go out, and you get free access right here outside. And you could just log in. You'll get a free membership until the end of the year. So that's that. That's my sales pitch. So thanks to William Morris Endeavor, we have brought the ZEITGUIDE to life. And last time was really interesting. We had David Nevins, who's the president of Showtime. We have Bettina Korek, who has a platform called For Your Art that is the website that tells you everything you need to know or see in Los Angeles. Adele Yellen, I never knew her before this panel. She is an amazing, amazing, amazing woman. She's the one who owns real estate in downtown LA and revitalized Grand Central Market. And then we had Mark Gillespie, who is Jay-Z's partner and represents a lot of EDM artists, and Frank Ocean, right? And he was really, really smart. I mean, his theory was that, as everybody's talking about how Spotify is ripping off artists, Spotify is also a way for artists to get their music out there and to test what people like. So that was last time. What was really interesting, unlike tonight, which I'm going to get to, let me just make sure, oh, okay, we're good, is that we learned so much from them as individuals. But unlike tonight, which we're going to get to, we have people speaking who are very involved in different industries and different art forms. But here, everybody really just talked about their own and how the world is affecting their businesses. So it was really interesting because there was one part, and Alex, we're going to do this, that was so interesting. I thought there would be some kind of cross-pollination because one of our theories is that as the world's continuing to change, digital is basically evaporating boundaries amongst industries, which we're going to get to. And you're no longer in, like in your case, you're no longer in the movie business, you're no longer in the media business, you're in the multimedia business, right? You can work in many different art forms, which we're going to get to. But I'm going to show this video.
But why isn't there more like entertainment about art? Why do you think we haven't?
That's a good question. I mean, I think the perception is still that's not populist and it's elitist.
So that was that. So there was no cross-pollination last time, but this time, look at that. I guess it's this quarter, but we have 3 people doing even more than we see right here. Rose, which we're going to learn from, and you know what? Hold on one more second. Sorry. So Rose, I met her when she was the West Coast bureau chief of Women's Wear Daily. And she was, what a force of nature. She got every piece of information. She was fantastic. And now she does write stuff as well. She's doing a book with Dita Von Teese. If you don't know her, she's like a neo-burlesque dancer. And was she the first person who 3D printed a dress?
Well, she didn't do it. Michael Schmidt did it. It was the first dress that moved. That was 3D printed and moved.
Right. Are you guys following this whole trend with 3D printing? Okay, good. A+. And now Rose owns, with her husband Andy, a store called A+R, which she can explain a little bit more as we go through the talk. But it's a design-oriented store. They sell, they create, they redesign. Am I missing anything? Why don't you just say what it is? Yeah, say it now, say it now.
It's a product design store, so I went from fashion to product design. But yeah, we do, yes, we do all kinds of services in that. But as usual, for those of you who know me, it's not just enough that I'm in there being shopkeeper. I'm also involved in a lot of other design projects outside the store, and so is Andy.
Which we're going to get to. Yeah, okay. So, Shepard. Wow, Shepard, you've become a good friend. We work together. And I first knew you when I went to Brown and you were at RISD, and I was seeing all these like weird images of Andre the Giant all over the place. And I was perplexed, had no idea. And then I went to, remember Acme Video? And there's this little video store in the corner in Providence, Rhode Island. And I saw this little short movie about you. And I was like, and I never really, really thought about it again until I started walking around and seeing like, you were like the human Twitter. Like I was always being followed by Shepard Fairey. And since we got to know each other, and his lovely wife Amanda, who's a very important part of the Shepard Fairey enterprise, I learned that I guess I learned about you when I brought you in to meet with Brian, right? And so what's so interesting about Shepard is that his Obey Giant art has been licensed to create Obey Giant clothing. So you're in the fashion world, retail world. You are a DJ, right? So you're in the music world. You're an activist, right? And do you guys, I feel like you've invested in some restaurants or something like that before, right? No, some Mexican? No? Okay, well, that's in the future. And then Moby, I don't know you, but you were my savior when I was an assistant in Hollywood, where I would just turn up your music in 1999, and it brought me such joy. And so I know you as a musician, and Moby's opening up a restaurant in Silver Lake that's all vegan, right? Photographer too, songwriter. So we're gonna have the pleasure to speak to all these three who like don't just do one thing, they do everything. And I want to know what makes you be able to do anything, and like what's the psychology going on in your head. But we'll get to that. So I just want to say, because I'm a corporate tool now, that what's happening here is representative of what's happening in the rest of the world, not just in the media business, right? Harvard Business Review, which I still think is a magazine that everybody should subscribe to in print. It's really interesting, a lot of different ideas. But it's all about going outside your core business. I mean, Google used to be a search company, right? Facebook, social media. Amazon, a bookseller. Apple, a computer maker. And now they're all trying to get into each other's grill. I mean, they're all trying to do something. Like you thought that they were just technology companies. Google, as you know, are making smart cars. Apple is in the fashion business. I actually got one. We'll see what it is, one of those Apple Watches. Amazon does everything. Now you have another opportunity to sell, oh, Christian. And Facebook, I just had a meeting with the head of their new creative lab, and they're actually trying to get original content directly on the Facebook feed. So it's not just people like, Moby, Shepard, and Rose, but this whole way of thinking is going outside the artist bubble and influencing corporations all over the world. And also, even here's another great example. LVHM is opening up a Art Foundation museum in Paris, and Prada paid for a big artistic, is it not Paris? No, it is, okay, all right, in Milan. And so, now you have like retail, very successful people who are becoming patrons of the art world. So you see all this blending going on. And now I'll shut up. But we're going to get started.